Things are gonna get better now. But you're still a drunken fob.
Yes, things are going to get better now. As always, thank you for listening to Headbangers and Hooligans. Yours truly, Scummalicious. Ready to do this on a Metal Monday. Let's get right after it. Dianno versus Dickinson. And I wanted to give my opinion on it. And everybody knows how much I love Killers and Paul Dianno. But I kind of wanted to really dive into it. I saw a video over the weekend of a guy talking about it, and you know, he gave his opinions on the whole thing. And for hardcore Iron Maiden fans, I think there's always been this soft spot for Paul Dianno, and I could be wrong, and maybe I'm just speaking from my personal point of view, but it's really weird for me. Okay, the first album that I ever bought or listened to from Iron Maiden was Number of the Beast, Bruce Dickinson. And I will never forget that. And I spoke about it on Friday, reviewing Number of the Beast in my top 50 albums of all time. And just remembering the epic fucking guitars on that, you know, his soaring, Bruce Dickinson's soaring vocals, you know, Run to the Hills. I remember, I did not see that video on Headbangers Ball for the first time. I seen it on USA Network, and I don't know if anybody remembers when USA, and I can't remember the name of it, it was, I want to say, Half Hour of Power. They fucking pisses me off because I can't remember. But they had, and I think it was every Friday night, they had a small show dedicated to just heavy metal videos. And I saw that video for Run to the Hills, and I was like, I gotta have this. This is just fucking epic. And as always, my mom, greatest mom ever, always filled the stockings with cassettes. I remember one year it was Def Leppard, High and Dry. That was actually the first cassette that I ever bought. Well, my mom bought. It's the first cassette that I ever put in my Ghetto Blaster, Sound Design. That fucking thing just kicked ass. It really did. And it actually had the little knobs on it for treble, bass, and it actually, you could hear the difference. They don't fucking make boom boxes like that anymore. It's got this one little button, and it just does the volume thing electronically. Fuck that. I love the old school boom boxes that were so fucking gigantic. You had to have a big car to take them home because they filled up half of the back seat. Anyway, but Number of the Beast, that whole album, and just revisiting it on Friday and the week before that, to get ready for the review of it, I really did forget how good it was. And it started off with Invaders, right? Which I said, it's a decent opening track. But then you get to Children of the Damned, and I'm like, fuck yes. The seatbelt is on. This ride, I ain't stopping. You know, that album, and Hallowed Be Thy Name, okay? And it's a song that I'm trying to learn on guitar. And speaking of that, if you could tell that I'm a little amped up, that's right, The Prodigy, my son, has been staying with me, and as soon as I get done with this show here, yeah, we're going to be shredding on guitar. Adrian Smith and Dave Murray, we're the next great guitar duo, like them. Alright, maybe not on that level, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. But with Number of the Beast being my first album that I had ever heard from Iron Maiden, and instantly being hooked, Okay, I got Peace of Mind after that. And then Power Slave. And then, and I don't know how this happened, but this fucking thing that lived with my mom for about 20 years, I'm not going to waste too much time on his skanky fucking ass, but he had a friend that came over, and guess what? He left his cassette of Iron Maiden Killers, and guess who took it? Yes, yours truly, Scummalicious. You know what? You snooze, you lose, fucker. And I put it in, and I remember at the time, because the album cover, right, with Eddie, you know, and the axe, and just thinking it's so fucking scary. And then I remember listening to it, and Paul Dianno just had that voice, and I thought, and I'm not kidding, the first time I heard that, I wasn't like really impressed with it. I thought, no, they did the right thing. Bruce Dickinson, definitely. And you got to remember, I'm like 15, 16 years old, so everything is really impressionable on you at that age, right? And then after a while, I'm like, wait a minute. Bruce Dickinson's got these soaring vocals and everything, but Paul Dianno's got that unique voice that's got some oomph to it. Yeah, Bruce Dickinson has some oomph, but like it's high oomph. Paul Dianno, you know, he's like a scrotum grab, right? It's like taking a knife and cutting your scrotum sack. Well, that's a bit ridiculous. We don't want that. Anyway, it just reaches out and grabs you. And then, you know, I see all the references to Paul Dianno's more the street punk vibe, and Bruce Dickinson's, you know, the opera, high octave, you know, 20 octave singer. But it's more about, it's just a more unique voice, Paul Dianno, to me. And if you want to throw the word punk in there, I'm fine with that. I don't think Steve Harris would like that. I've seen him in a lot of interviews, and I've read a lot of stories. He hated fucking punk rock. That's part of the reason why he started Iron Maiden. And, yeah, Steve Harris. There's another guy that's on his own fucking planet. Holy shit, can that guy write a song? But, you know, and I know the way he projected Iron Maiden in his mind. And all the guys from Iron Maiden will tell you, Iron Maiden, that's like Steve Harris's thing. You know, he's the main guy behind it, okay? And I'm not discounting everybody else. I'm just saying he's the one that had the vision of it, you know. And in his mind, Paul Dianno was not going to be the singer. He did not fit what Steve Harris wanted to do. And hey, listen, I understand that, okay? And so we only get 2 albums from Paul Dianno, right? So for me personally, if I'm making the argument that Paul Dianno is better than Bruce Dickinson, I only get 2 albums. And that's really hard for somebody to prove their point as far as saying that, hey, you know, right there, that's all you need to know. Those 2 albums will prove right there that he's better than Bruce Dickinson. And the debut, I like it. It's a cool album, but Killers is just on a total different fucking level, okay? Purgatory, the title track, Another Life. Even their instrumentals are fucking brutal on there. Genghis Khan and The Ides of March, you know. Murders in the Room and Drifter. The last track on Killers. To me, the one song that Iron Maiden has recorded that's nothing at all like Iron Maiden. To me, you know, rock and roll, oh yeah, dun, dun, dun. Hey baby, won't you take me away? Dun, dun, dun. It's so different than most of their music. It's still got an awesome bass line in there from Steve Harris. But yeah, the lyrics are even maybe a little more darker than what Bruce Dickinson had. And but the thing with Iron Maiden, every album was different. Okay, let's just to do the discussion here of Dianno versus Dickinson. I'll just stick with that decade. All right, that's how we'll do it. And so we'll just go with one album from Dianno then, Killers. All right. So what did Dickinson have in the decade? He had Number of the Beast, obviously, Killers. Killers. Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, Live After Death, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Incredible albums. Each album is different, right? And in your mind, I want you, if you can, picture Paul Dianno singing all the songs on Number of the Beast. Yeah, totally different animal, and he's not going to sound as good as Bruce Dickinson on that. He's not even going to come close, because that's not his style. But, and I love Number of the Beast, you know that, because I just talked about it on Friday. It's amazing. Peace of Mind is amazing. Power Slave. But Killers, with that darkness, and I guess with me being a big punk rock fan, I just connect with it more. But I don't hate Bruce Dickinson. That's the thing, you know. It's totally different. Like for the longest time, and I've discussed this a lot too, when I talk about Bon Scott and he being replaced by Brian Johnson. You know, I was so rough on Brian Johnson. But I want you to think about that too. Picture Bon Scott singing Back in Black, because he pretty much had written that album before he passed away. Just picture how different that album would have been with him singing. And Brian Johnson and Bon Scott, both of them, would you consider them just these amazing singers? No, but Bon Scott had a unique voice. And holy fuck, Back in Black is it's one of the greatest albums ever recorded, even if you're not an AC/DC fan. And I am so sick of that fucking album because I've heard it 1,000 fucking times in my life. But that doesn't take away from the greatness of it. But how many more copies would they have sold with Bon Scott singing? My whole thing at the time, and you know, as I got older, I would just constantly talk about how much Brian Johnson sucked. But you know what? That's not fair to him. How in the fuck do you replace a legend like that? You know? And he did good, right? And everybody knows I haven't been a fan of their newer music. I just didn't care for it. But the whole thing of, you know, hey, stop recording, it's bullshit. That's not up to me. You know? And I do think it's finally coming to an end. I mean, if you gotta resort to Axl Rose as your fucking singer, seriously, come on, Angus. Don't, yeah, just fuck that guy. I'm sorry. And, you know, it's so sad. Appetite for Destruction, one of the greatest albums ever recorded. And it just sucks that Axl Rose has to be attached to that because he's such a fucking douchebag. You know, you see the interviews with Steven Adler and Slash, and you know they seem like really cool fucking guys. And then Axl Rose, fuck him. Anyway, the other thing to me with Dianno, okay, with the lyrics and you know being the punk vibe, I guess that everybody says. I'll go along with that. Think about the look too. He didn't really have long hair. It was kind of short and curly. And I remember somebody even mentioning that, you know, and then Bruce Dickinson had the long hair. If somebody is going to make an argument that Bruce Dickinson is better than Paul Dianno because of their fucking hair, then just quit fucking arguing, okay? And I'm not saying that anybody's doing that. I just remember reading it somewhere or somebody mentioning it, okay? I mean, give me a fucking break, right? And one thing about Iron Maiden that separates them from most bands is the artwork, right? You know, Eddie, unfucking believable. And I think the guy, who is the guy? Is it Derek Riggs? Is it Martin Birch? There's too many names going through my brain. The guy that created Eddie and draws him for every album. Holy fucking shit. You know, he sets the mood with every album cover. And I think with that, okay, would it be different? Would any of those album covers been different with Paul Dianno singing on Peace of Mind and Power Slave? No. Okay. How does Power Slave sound with Paul Dianno singing Aces High? It's not going to sound that good because they're not going to record Aces High with Paul Dianno, right? And so it comes down to, for me, one album. That's all I get to make my argument, and that's a pretty hard argument to make. And like I said, because I like them both, you really can't go wrong. But man, I sure would have loved to heard a Killers too, you know. And maybe we don't get Number the Beast. Maybe we get Peace of Mind, but it's a different kind of peace of mind, right? Like Eddie's not, you know, chained in a padded cell. Maybe he's on the streets with a machine gun, right? Wearing a bandana with all these little buttons and, you know, anarchy buttons on a leather jacket. You know? I don't know. I just know, in the end, the voice. The voice is unique, and I'm beating that idea over the head with a hammer. I just loved it. It's unique. Wasn't anything else like it. And I don't know. And listen, he was getting into drugs and he was drinking a lot. Because I read one thing about Steve Harris, and he said, you know, he liked to party too much. Now that shit just kind of gets ridiculous to me. Okay, you're 20-year-old guys and you're gonna party. You're in a fucking band. I hate it when I hear that come from another musician. Oh yeah, Steve Harris, because we know you never drank or did drugs, right? You know, it just kind of comes off as lame. Still an amazing bass player though. I guess for me, I wish I could have heard a couple more. You know? Then if, like, make Killers 2, or, you know, like I said, Peace of Mind with Paul Dianno, and then if it really sucked, then you'd say, okay, time to bring in Bruce. And that's, for me, that's as deep as I can get into it, I guess. Because like I said, I've only got 2 albums to go on, and for this battle I only used 1. But that Killers, it is a fucking killer. Alright? And I said I was going to do 2 shows today. I lied. I'm only going to do 1. The second show, it's getting moved to tomorrow. Got to talk about the Dickies and that Warped Tour thing. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I got a lot to get off my chest. As always. Alright, you know I do this. Take it easy. And if it's easy, take it twice. I'm out.